Louisiana Beer Review Special Edition Michelob AmberBock Revisited. Michelob AmberBock Dark Lager was introduced in 1995. It is 5.1% alcohol. It has a 19 international bitterness unit. It's brewed with 3 barley malts, 2-row pale, caramel, and dark roasted. They use imported Hallertau hops and Hallertau Tettnanger hops. It gets a poor score on Beer Advocate. The bros say it's okay. It gets a 12 out of 100 on Rate Beer, a 27 out of 100 for the style, and it gets a very fine score on the Beer Me, which would be a B+. The original is Michelob since 1896. That's at 4.9% alcohol. In 1978, they introduced Michelob Light, which is a above premium or specialty light beer, using a little more expensive ingredients. And then this came out in 95. Now, over the years, they have made other Michelob beers. About 2008, they tried to come out with a whole line of craft beers from Michelob, like Pale Ale, the Michelob Red Ale, and a bunch of other ones, but those were all discontinued. They had the Beach Bum, their Summer Pale Ale. That was a really good one. That's gone. They used to make a beer called Michelob Dark from 1981 till around, I guess, 98. And this, I suppose this is the one that replaced it. Here's some older bottles. This is the original, or one of the early ones. This is the AmberBock bottle from 96. This was their 100th anniversary edition bottle for the Michelob line of beers. Then a few years later, they came out with this one, Michelob AmberBock Dark Lager, box style beer. Then they changed the label again. Around 2007, came out with this one. They're all similar. They're dark. You know, it's a black background with gold and red trim. But they have changed them a little bit. Okay. Actually, I think this is the newer one, the 07, and then this one. Mixed them up. Okay, but they're all similar. And then the current version, which is, I mean, if you had it, it's got the gray. The new Michelob bottles have that gray thing going. But if you took a quick glance, you'd think they were all the same. They're back to the twist caps they had when they were doing their craft beer attempt. Now, they recommend on their website a tulip glass. And by the way, look at all that smoke. I don't know if you can see it, but it's there. Michelob, Anheuser-Busch, they recommend the beer to be poured straight in the tulip glass. Some people tell me learn how to pour a beer. There's even a whole section on the Anheuser-Busch Zithology page. It's actually a 7-chapter book, and there's information on how to pour beer, and they highly recommend straight in. Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company, I have literature from them, recommend straight in pouring because you get a thick head, and that's what you want. This head is not as thick as I thought it would be. Clear amber appearance, light brown, reddish brown. I see bubble streams, and it's making some crackle. Okay, I've drank so many AmberBocks since I started my beer drinking, and I don't know what you call it. I was going to say career. My beer drinking enterprise in February '96. I will call it a beer drinking project. My beer drinking project in February 1996. Well, the head didn't stick around, but what you would expect with a Bock beer: rich, sweet barley malt, dark bread crust. It's very mild and mellow. This beer is made for mass consumption. You know, they're looking for a wide audience. They don't want it to be too harsh, and it's not. The flavor, same thing. It's sort of rich, but it's mostly just low profile, sweet, dark roasted, and there's a a mild hot bitterness. 19 IBUs, you're not going to get much of a hot bitterness. 5.1% alcohol. You drink a few of these though, you're going to feel it, that's for sure. Budweiser's 5%, this 5.1. I am picking up a little paperiness. The mouthfeel is light and watery, and the finish is crisp, clean, refreshing, and dry. Now there's a date or a code, and I don't know, I can't figure that out. Anyway, they used to have the born on date, which was more convenient. I'll give it a B because of the paperiness, so it's good, but that's going to hold it back from anything higher than that. I don't think it's a 12 out of 100. This was $12.47 for a 12-pack at Walmart, $12.99 for the 12-pack at Winn-Dixie. Sometimes they'll have it on sale at Winn-Dixie for $10.99 a 12-pack. But if you're looking for a mellow, easygoing beer that's not too expensive, this is one to get. All right. That paperiness is still there, unfortunately. I do think I prefer the regular Michelob, but I only prefer it by maybe a shade. It's better, but it's not way better. But I probably prefer the standard lagers more than the box. This does have a noticeable syrupiness too, which is a good thing. Been showing artifacts. Here's an old artifact, an 1882 geography book for 7th grade, Monteith's Geography. Bought this years ago at our old bookstore. I think I paid, I think it was like $35 when I bought it. Now the cover's kind of raggedy, you know, you can see the binding, that old leather, it's rotted, dry rotted. J.S. Barnes and Company, Chicago and New York. I have an old map inside here. It has nothing to do with this book, but I just didn't know where else to put the map. It's an old map of New Orleans from 1890s. It's got city blocks on there that some of them don't even exist today. It's just basically showing what they were planning to build. Now this Monteith's, yeah, 1894, it says right there, 1894 on the map. The Monteith's, it's a comprehensive geography course. Basically, you take the book and it kind of guides you through the whole learning of geography. It's got to teachers, the object method, places, zones, map, comparative latitude, whatever. It's got bulletins about updates, exploring geographic regions. Gives some updates, like it says some things that were happening in the recent times. It says in the Dominion of Canada, the new divisions are Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Athabasca. Talking about how they had changed the border of Nebraska, proposed to change the capital of Dakota from Yankton to Bismarck. New capital for Louisiana, now Baton Rouge. It says the West Virginia's capital will be Charleston starting in 1885. It says in Africa, a rebellion in Egypt was suppressed by the English, who now virtually control the government, though it is still subject to Turkey. Talk about having trouble with the Boers in South Africa, the British and the Boers. Okay, anyway. Then they got a glossary with all these hand-drawn pictures, no photos, just pencil and ink photos. Talk about the races of mankind. And this is 1880s, so it says Talk about the races. The Caucasian race, the head is almost round. Yet the skin is mostly white, yet some Caucasians are quite dark. The Caucasian is the most enterprising and enlightened race, especially the inhabitants of the North Temperate Zone. And then it says, talk about the black race. The American Indians are copper-colored and tall in stature. They have prominent cheekbones and long, straight hair, and whatever. Talk about republics, kingdoms, empires, and states. Anyway, it's got some color maps like North America. The most interesting ones are Europe. It's got state maps, regional maps. It's got all kind of lessons on how to draw maps, look at maps, understand maps. See the map of Europe. 1880s, right after Germany had been formed. Austrian, Hungarian Empire is still there. And then at the end, it's got a history of the world. It's got a historical atlas going through the Roman Empire. And then at the end of the book, it's got topical reviews of geography. It gives you each country, like for instance, England. Kingdom. It's a kingdom. They have a parliament, Queen Victoria I. Germany, an empire, a parliament called the Reichstag, William I. A free city, extensive commerce, principal immigration. A third free city is Lübeck. They were talking about Hamburg and other places. So they got little characteristics of the principal cities. Turkey is an empire. They got the Sultan Abdul Hamid II. Anyway, it's very interesting to look back on that and show you who owned what and who was the ruler at the time. So this is the New Jersey edition, by the way. So there's a big, extensive section in the back about New Jersey. And I'm going to end this review by saying, Laissez-les bon temps rouler. This is a good beer, nothing great, but a good beer. And I'm going to end this review by saying, y'all come on down to southeastern Louisiana.